So this is Dotun Adebayo. He is a pretty well-known presenter on Radio 5 Live. He worked in publishing for quite a few years. And he's led a very exciting life, as this novel demonstrates, in I suppose good and bad ways.
You described it a moment ago as a novel. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, well, I think the term fictionalised memoir could be used, but I don't really know if it's kind of edging into that area of a novel. And I think a lot of people read it with that mindset of they mean to or not, because that's really how it comes across on the page, but you might disagree with that.
This is FUCKRIES by Dotun Adebayo. Whoa! In the gloomy silence, deep in the cockpit of your heart, out of thought but not out of mind, is the you you're running from. Well, no, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a pretty accurate description of it because it is predicated on real events. It started out as a memoir. It wasn't fictionalised, it was as it happened.
Yeah.
And the memoir was trying to be as accurate to the real events as possible. At some point you realise you can't actually be as accurate as that, in a memoir. I'm flying to the moon. You coming for the ride? Fucking say no. Say no. Can't you see? He's off his head. The whole car stinks of weed. Then don't fucking get in. Woo, woo, woo. That's the sound of the police. Woo, woo, woo. That's the sound of the police. For example, am I the same teenage Dotun who set fire to the chemistry lab at school? Don't ask me why. It's mad. But it's in there. It's in the book. Woo, woo! You're off your fucking head. You're off your fucking head. E-I-N-E-O. You're off your fucking head. How do you try and have a conversation with all those years of your life? Should have got out when you had the chance. Woo, woo, woo! A noir moi. A memoir, a different kind of memoir. How should I define it? If I come up with a phrase, I've got to back it up. What does a noir moi mean? And then when I look back at the book, I thought, wow, what I've done in this book is bring up all the bad things that have happened. It's a memoir of bad things, You're not going to see much romance in here. You're not going to see any. And the love that there is of family and friends is under very, very pressurised circumstances, difficult circumstances. So it's never a pleasant read in that. And I thought that's what a noir is. It's the always look on the dark side of life. Boom, 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 boom. The master of the household has received Her Majesty's command to invite Mr. Jukes Camiola Camiolu Walamibe to a reception to be given at Buckingham Palace by the Queen. Oh ye, oh ye.
So I think that leads us nicely into the title, because I think the title is something that will shock a lot of people. So why did you choose the title of the book?
Someone's trying to kill me and you're talking bollocks? How many times do I have to tell you I never saw my parents having it off? Initially the book was going to be called Now That's What I Call Dotun. One of my daughters said, after reading the opening passage, said, no, that should be called It Started With a Murder.
You're not going to believe this, but I was once arrested for murder.
So I looked at it and I said, wow, genius. About 6 months ago, I said to my daughter, oh, by the way, Tammy, I've decided to change the title and it's now going to be called FUCKRIES. And I don't know if you remember this. When I wake up, I see Johnny Wanker fucking you up the arse. FUCKRIES is not, it was never a vulgar term, and it's sad that people are using it as such. You saved my ass, man, so I had to save yours. As you will know, Bia, that when you immerse yourself in writing a book, and it's a memoir of some sort, it brings out a lot of pain. It does, it brings out a lot of pain. And there'll be moments when I sat at the computer in the middle of the night and I cried.
Yeah, but it was one of your bullets. And if I have to do time for your crime, you're a fucking cunt.
There's another consequence of that, which is that the social media firms won't let you advertise something like FUCKRIES. They won't want to promote that and so on. And I've been told directly by my own colleagues, why'd you have to call it that? We'll never be able to interview you on radio.
But this is an unbelievable story, and it's brilliantly written. You're gonna have to take my word for that.
Yes, or television or otherwise, I accept that. Sometimes you've got to be true to yourself. You've got to be true to your work.
I think I killed somebody.
And I had a big debate online about this as well. It probably split 50-50 to those who felt that I should obey my wife, and to those who said no, stick to your guns. And it's been a painful experience.
When they find out that you sparred with the shoe bomber Richard Reed, it's all over. I didn't spar with him, simply lived in the same house, that's all.
So I didn't want that as part of the experience of writing this book, but it ended up being part of that. If I change the title, and I have to live with it, I have to live with the fact that a lot of people won't pick it up, they won't give the book a chance, and the title is part of its cover. This book is not going to be on Radio 4's A Good Read. It ain't gonna be on that, which is cool, and it ain't gonna win the Booker Prize, which is cool. I don't know if you would have picked up on the fact it's a whodunit as well, because there's a murder at the heart of this. There is a real murder. It really happened. I really was arrested for a murder. I really did shit myself when the police officers came to my door and tried to frame me for a murder that somebody else had done. And I remember being in the police cell, by the way, and thinking, how did you get here? This is some good weed, my brother. It's the same weed Bob Marley used to smoke. Part of the book's trajectory is to try and figure that out for myself, and I hope for the reader as well, because we don't tell you which one of the years of my life was involved in this murder inadvertently.
Fucking say no! Say no! Say no! Can't you see? He's off his head.
The penny dropped out of the sky. Many people have been saying to me for years, look, you've got to write your story. You've got an amazing story. And they didn't even know about the murder bit. And they're like, you've got to write all these things that happened to you.
Behind it, on the back seat, in wraparound shades, is Simba, this skinny dude with baby locks. One of the bad boys from the African mafia.
Conceit of it, that I would tell it without narrative. That I would tell it without descriptive narrative. I will let the different years of my life talk their way through all the things that have happened to me. And there is an imperative, because somebody is also trying to kill me in this book. And the person who got done for the murder, which somebody I knew, came out and said, well, you're the one who did it.
You're a fucking cunt. You're a fucking cunt. E-I-A-D-O. You're a fucking cunt.
Have you ever read any book that is constructed this way?
No. And I've read a lot of books, so yeah.
If that's the only way of finding out who's trying to kill me and what it's got to do with that murder that I don't know nothing about, beam me down, Scotty. Let's go living in the past. It don't work like that. This ain't no back to the future. You can't go back to the past. But you know what they say? If Muhammad won't come to the mountain in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, the past can come to you.
I did want to ask, there are a lot of people who feature in the book, aside from you and all your younger selves. And I wanted to know if any of them had if you'd gotten in touch with any of them, or if, you're still in touch with any of them, because there are some really interesting characters in there, and I think they actually really help the story to kind of come alive, because I think there are quite a lot of non-naturalistic elements in the story as well, and it's like you said, sometimes I think in novels you do have to tweak something so it's not entirely true to life, to make it readable, to make it interesting, to make it... So I was just wondering how you kind of draw that line with people, who are real.
Along comes Johnny Wanker. You remember Johnny, don't you? From Johnny Wanker and the Masturbator.
The first people I knew that murdered anybody, 2 people in my class, and they went to rob the uncle of one of them. The uncle happened to be there, so they ended up murdering the uncle, and they did time in jail. I was 17, just to think about it. Do you see why I call it FUCKRIES?
Yeah.
It's like, what? And initially, I wasn't thinking, and I just put their real names. They've done their time. They've now got children. And the same with Plop Plops. Plop Plop's a wild kid in any case, but he's now got a son.
What kind of role do you think the humour plays in the book?
If people laugh, you're winning.
You are in a perpetual state of the Nile. Trying to run me down. I'm lucky to be alive. Deliberately. Why would someone try to kill me? I mean denial. I'm in denial.
Is it a funny book?
I think it's a very funny book.
I think it's hilarious.
I think if you've got that kind of dark sense of humour though, and I know it's always quite cliche to say that, but it's, I wouldn't say it's, amusing in the way of like a light farce or something. It's quite, darkly funny. And I think that the denial joke as well, that actually reminds me, it's like you're kind of anticipating these attempts to kind of pathologise the book. I think when people read it, you'll have people trying to do that armchair psychology. So who do you expect to read this book? I mean, who's your idea of your audience?
People who enjoy listening to me on air because they love me. Yeah. Mate, you can ask my colleagues, I'm not just saying this, ask the people who listen to me on air. They love me. And they can't quite figure me. It's like, hang on, how comes this guy's got all these sorts of like literary references or classical references and this, that, but he's always talking about coming from the ghetto of Tottenham. How does that work? And then I thought, I had a mad moment when I thought, I'm doing something quite unique in the literary world, and no doubt my audience will be literary people who are like, oh wow, it's very experimental, oh it's very brave, it's this, that and the other, and we'll have to give him some award. We can't let him, don't give him the Booker, for God's sake, don't give him the Booker, but give him something along the way, one of those minor awards, and say, well done, because you've done something that nobody else has done.
I think it's a really good book. There's a sense of kind of sinister threat there, and something quite hostile, which you can't quite put your finger on. And I think that's done very well by you as a writer, is that sense of a changed landscape.
Take life seriously. Take life seriously. And don't take life, not one day, when the events of that murder do not dominate my thoughts.
And you described yourself as a one-boy crime wave in North London.
Look straight in my